Shimabara Peninsula, feudal Japan. A fortress under siege. 37,000 rebels trapped inside. The Tokugawa army surrounds them with 125,000 soldiers. Food is running out. Water is scarce. Death is certain. Inside the fortress, panic spreads like wildfire. People scream, fight over scraps of food, weep for their families. The air thick with fear and desperation. But in the center courtyard, one man sits, perfectly still, eyes closed, breathing steady. His name is Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman who ever lived. 61 duels fought, 61 victories, 0 defeats. A young samurai approaches him, trembling. Master Musashi, they're coming. Thousands of them. We're going to die. How can you just sit there? Musashi opens his eyes. Tell me, what are you afraid of? Death, master. Pain, the end of everything. And when will this death come? Soon. Maybe today. Maybe tomorrow. So not now. Right now, in this exact moment. Are you dying? The young samurai pauses. No, not right now. Then why are you panicking about something that isn't happening? You're dying 1,000 deaths in your mind while sitting perfectly safe in this courtyard. The enemy kills you once. Your mind kills you constantly. This conversation reveals a truth the Japanese warrior class discovered centuries ago. A method so powerful, so transformative, that it was kept within the inner circles of the samurai. Not because they wanted to hoard it. Because most people weren't ready to understand it. The method is called Heijoshin. And it will change everything you think you know about calmness, control, and power. But here's what nobody tells you. This isn't just about staying calm during sieges and sword fights. Right now, you're under siege. The siege of modern life. Notifications exploding. Deadlines crushing. Relationships fracturing. Health declining. Purpose vanishing. And you're panicking, just like that young samurai, dying 1,000 deaths while sitting perfectly safe in your room. The question is, are you ready to learn what Musashi knew? Chapter 1, The Discovery. The Merchant's Crisis. Osaka, 1641. 4 years after Shimabara. A wealthy merchant named Takumi was losing everything. His ships had sunk in a storm. His debts were crushing. His rivals circled like sharks. In feudal Japan, bankruptcy meant more than financial ruin. It meant dishonor, exile, possibly death. Takumi couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. His hands shook constantly. His mind raced through catastrophic scenarios. Every knock on the door sent his heart racing. Every letter might be the final demand. His wife watched him deteriorating. You must see someone. This panic is killing you faster than any debt. Who can help me? I'm ruined. There's a retired samurai who lives in the mountains. They say he teaches a method for the mind. Master Endo. He studied under Takuan Soho himself. Takuan Soho, the legendary Zen master who advised the greatest swordsmen. Even Takumi, merchant, not warrior, knew that name. Desperate, he made the 3-day journey. Found the small monastery. An old man, maybe 70, tended a garden with movements so precise, so focused, each gesture seemed choreographed. Master Endo. The old man didn't look up. The radishes need consistent care. Too much attention, they split. Too little, they wither. Just enough, just present, they grow perfectly. Master, I need your help. I'm drowning in panic. My life is falling apart. Now the old man looked up. Eyes clear, penetrating. Your life is falling apart. Show me. Show me this life falling apart. Right now. Is it falling? Takumi gestured wildly. My ship's sunk. My debts are crushing. My reputation is destroyed. Yes, but right now, in this moment, in this garden, is anything falling? Takumi looked around. Birds sang. Sun warmed. Garden grew. But no buts. You have a disease. Not of circumstances. Of mind. The Japanese call it Heijoshin. Agitated spirit. Your mind is everywhere except here. Past mistakes, future disasters, hypothetical catastrophes. You're living in 10,000 moments except the only one that exists. But the debts are real. Yes. And when the debt collector arrives at your door, in that moment, you will handle it. But that moment isn't now. Right now, you're torturing yourself with imagination. This is what kills most men. Not their circumstances. Their relationship to their circumstances. Master Endo stood, brushed soil from his hands. The samurai discovered something centuries ago. A state of mind called Heijoshin. It means ordinary, everyday mind or mind like still water. How do I achieve this? You don't achieve it. You return to it. It's your natural state. Before panic learned to dominate you. The first lesson, the water mind. Master Endo led Takumi to a pond. The surface perfectly still, reflecting clouds, trees, sky with absolute clarity. Watch. He threw a stone. Ripples exploded outward, distorting everything. The clear reflection became chaos. This is your mind right now. One event ship sinking creates endless ripples, distorting everything, making it impossible to see clearly. They waited. Slowly, the ripples settled. The surface became still again. Perfect reflection returned. The water doesn't try to become still. It doesn't force calmness. It simply stops adding energy to the disturbance. The ripples naturally settle. This is Heijoshin. But how? How do I stop the ripples? First, understand what creates them. Sit. They sat by the pond. Master Endo began the teaching that would save Takumi's life. In Japanese warrior tradition, there are 3 types of mind. First, Kenshin. Ordinary mind. The mind you had as a child before conditioning. Clear, present, responsive. This is natural. Second, Heijoshin. Agitated mind. This is learned. Society teaches it. Fear teaches it. Trauma teaches it. This is your current state. Third, Heijoshin. Ordinary, everyday mind recovered. Not innocence regained. Clarity chosen. This is mastery. Takumi listened, but his mind still churned with worries. Master Endo saw this. You're not listening. You're waiting to listen while your mind plans arguments. This is the problem. You're never actually here. I'm trying to be present. Trying is the problem. Presence isn't effort. It's release. Watch your breath. Don't change it. Just watch. Takumi tried. Within seconds, his mind wandered to debts, disasters, doom. It's impossible. My mind won't stop. Of course not. The mind's job is to think. You're masking it not to do its job. Instead, you must understand something the samurai discovered. You are not your mind. This statement struck Takumi like a physical blow. You are the awareness that observes the mind. The mind thinks. But you are the one who notices the thinking. This awareness, this observing presence, is Heijoshin. It's always calm, always clear, always here. You've just forgotten it exists because you've identified completely with the thinking. Master Endo picked up another stone. Watch this stone. Is it worried about debts? No, it's a stone. Watch this tree. Is it panicking about the future? No, it's a tree. Watch this pond. Is it disturbed by tomorrow? No, it's water. And yet all these things exist perfectly in this moment. The stone is completely stone. The tree completely tree. The water completely water. But you, human, are not completely human. You're scattered across time. Past regrets, future fears. Never here. Never whole. This is your only problem. Chapter 2, The Method Revealed. Training an ordinary mind. For the next 3 months, Master Endo trained Takumi in the forbidden method. Not forbidden because it was secret. Forbidden because it contradicted everything society taught about control, achievement, success. Week 1, the foundation. Each morning, Master Endo instructed, you will practice mokus. Silent sitting. Not meditation in the way you imagine. No mantras, no visualizations, no goals. Simply sitting. Being present with what is. For how long? Until you understand. Maybe 5 minutes. Maybe 50 years. Takumi sat. The first session lasted 4 minutes before panic overwhelmed him. Thoughts of ruin flooded his mind. He stood, gasping. I can't do this. The anxiety is too strong. Good. You've discovered the first truth. You cannot force calmness. Every attempt to control the panic strengthens it. This is Hakurai. Contrived effort. The opposite of Heijoshin. Then what do I do? Nothing. Allow the panic. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just observe it. Panic is like a crying child. If you panic about the panic, it gets louder. If you ignore it completely, it gets louder. But if you simply acknowledge it, yes, I see you, panic, it begins to settle. The next morning, Takumi sat again. Panic arose. Instead of fighting, he mentally noted, panic is here. Heart racing. Thoughts churning. He didn't try to fix it. Just observed. The panic didn't disappear. But something shifted. A tiny gap appeared between him and the panic. He wasn't the panic. He was the one observing it. This gap was everything. Week 2, the anchor. Now you will learn tandem breathing, Master Endo taught. The samurai's anchor. The tandem is a point 2 inches below the navel. The body's center of gravity. In Japanese martial arts, all power flows from here. Breathe into the tandem. Not actually into it, the lungs do the breathing. But direct your awareness there. This is your anchor point. When your mind scatters into panic, return here. Master Endo demonstrated. His breath slow, deep, settled. His entire presence seemed to sink into an unshakable foundation. Takumi practiced. Each time panic arose dozens of times per hour, he returned awareness to tandem. Now. This wasn't suppression. Wasn't positive thinking. Was simply returning to the body, to the moment, to what actually existed rather than what the mind imagined. Week 3, the paradox. You're improving, Master Endo observed. But you're making a mistake. What mistake? You're using Heijoshin as a tool to fix your problems. You're trying to become calm so you can handle your debts better. This is subtle, but it corrupts the entire method. Takumi felt confused. Isn't that the point? To handle life better? No. Heijoshin isn't about handling life better. It's about understanding that there's nothing to handle. Life is happening. It includes pleasant things and unpleasant things. Success and failure. Gain and loss. The mind says, I must control this. I must make it go my way. But this is delusion. This is what creates panic. So I should just accept losing everything. You're not listening. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means seeing clearly. When you see clearly, appropriate action arises naturally. But when you panic, when you resist reality, you create confusion. And confused action creates more problems. Master Endo picked up a sword from his training hall. When a samurai faces an enemy, does he panic about being attacked? Probably not, if he's trained. Why not? Death is possible. Because he's trained to respond, not react. Exactly. Response comes from clarity. Reaction comes from panic. Your death situation is your enemy. Right now, you're reacting, panicking, freezing, crashing. This makes you ineffective. Heijoshin allows you to respond. See clearly. Act appropriately. Accept whatever comes. But what if I lose everything? Then you lose everything. And in that moment, you'll be alive, breathing, aware. And you'll handle that moment. But that moment isn't this moment. This moment, you're sitting in my garden. The sun is shining. You're learning something valuable. Why waste this moment panicking about a different moment that may never come? For the first time, Takumi understood. He'd been living in an imagined future hell while sitting in an actual present moment that was perfectly manageable. Week 4 through 12, deep integration. The training intensified. Master Endo revealed the complete system the samurai used. Masatoku, non-gaining mind. Western mind always asks, what do I get from this? Master Endo explained. But this question corrupts everything. When you practice Heijoshin to gain something, calmness, success, control, you've already lost it. Because you're still trapped in Ban. The mind of wanting. The samurai trained differently. They practiced Masatoku, non-gaining mind. You sit not to become calm but to be present. You breathe not to control anxiety but to return to now. You act not to get results but to respond appropriately to this moment. This sounds like giving up. It's the opposite. Giving up is what you're doing now, giving up your power to circumstances, to future scenarios, to imagined catastrophes. Masatoku is claiming your power by being fully here. The only place power exists. Shoshin, beginner's mind. Each morning, approach the day with Shoshin. Beginner's mind. Like you've never lived before. No assumptions about how things should be. No rigid expectations. Curious. Your panic comes from fixed ideas. My business must succeed. I must maintain my reputation. Life should be stable. But life doesn't care about your should be. Life simply is. When you approach each moment as a beginner, you can respond to what actually is rather than fighting for what should be. Heijoshin, immovable mind. The highest level is Heijoshin. Immovable mind. Not immovable like stone, rigid, brittle. Immovable like mountain, stable but responsive. A mountain doesn't move when wind blows. But trees on the mountain bend. This is true stability. Rooted in presence, flexible in response. When you achieve Heijoshin, panic can still arise. Fear can visit. Anxiety can knock. But they don't move you from your center. You feel them, acknowledge them, and remain anchored in Heijoshin, responsive. Chapter 3, The Test. The debt collector arrives. Month 4. Takumi returned home. His practice established. His understanding deepened. But understanding wasn't enough. Theory had to meet reality. 3 days after returning, the debt collector arrived. A hard man representing powerful creditors. The amount owed was staggering. Payment was demanded immediately. Old Takumi would have panicked. Begged, made desperate promises. Created more problems through confused action. New Takumi felt panic arise. Felt his heart rate increase. Thoughts accelerate. But underneath, something remained still. The awareness watching all this. Heijoshin. He breathed into his tendon. Returned to presence. Here, now, this conversation. Nothing else. I understand the debt is substantial, Takumi said calmly. I don't have the full amount now. But I can pay in installments if you'll accept them. The collector's face hardened. That's not acceptable. We want full payment. Old Takumi would have collapsed into begging. New Takumi remained present. I understand that's what you want. I'm telling you what's actually possible. I can give you 20% now, and the rest over 6 months. Or you can seize my remaining assets, get perhaps 30% of what's owed, and I declare bankruptcy. Your choice. The clarity shocked the collector. No panic. No desperation. Just reality, stated plainly. They negotiated. Takumi remained present throughout. Not attached to outcomes. Simply responding to each moment. Here. The collector finally agreed to terms. Not because Takumi manipulated him. Because presence creates space for wisdom to emerge. When you're not frantically trying to control, you can see and respond to what actually serves. After the collector left, Takumi sat. Enormous relief washed through him, then receded. He returned to Heijoshin, present. He discovered something profound. The method worked not by eliminating difficult situations, but by transforming your relationship to them. Panic doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from resisting circumstances, from being mentally anywhere except in the moment you're actually living. The deeper understanding. That evening, Takumi wrote in his journal a practice Master Endo had assigned. Today I learned the true meaning of Heijoshin. It's not a technique to get what I want. It's a way of being that makes wanting irrelevant. The panic I've lived with for months came from constantly comparing reality to my preferences. Reality said, ships sunk. My mind said, ships shouldn't have sunk. This gap between is and should created suffering. But Heijoshin reveals a different possibility. Reality is. My preference is. Both can exist without conflict. I can prefer ships not to sink while accepting that they did. I can work to rebuild while accepting I might not succeed. This acceptance isn't defeat. It's freedom. Because I'm no longer fighting reality. I'm working with it. And working with reality is infinitely more effective than fighting it. Master Endo was right. I am not my mind. I am not my circumstances. I am the awareness that observes both. And this awareness is naturally calm, naturally clear, naturally present. Heijoshin isn't something I achieve. It's what I am when I stop trying to be something else. Chapter 4. The Science Behind the Method. What the samurai knew. Before we continue Takumi's story, understand what was actually happening in his nervous system. The samurai didn't have neuroscience, but they understood the body-mind connection perfectly. What they called Heijoshin, modern science calls parasympathetic activation. When Takumi panicked, his sympathetic nervous system dominated. Fight, flight, freeze. Cortisol flooding. amygdala hijacking rational thought. This is Heijoshin agitated mind at the physiological level. When he practiced tandem breathing, he activated the vagus nerve. This shifted his nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic, from panic to presence, from Heijoshin to Heijoshin. But the method goes deeper than just breathing techniques. The default mode network. Modern neuroscience has discovered the default mode network, DMN, the brain network active when we're not focused on external tasks. The DMN is responsible for self-referential thinking, rumination, anxiety about future, regret about past. When Takumi's mind churned with disaster scenarios, his DMN was hyperactive. This network literally creates the sense of a separate self that's threatened by circumstances. The samurai called this jiga, the small self. The ego trapped in past future, mine not mine, win-lose thinking. When Takumi practiced mokus, silent sitting, and returned repeatedly to present moment awareness, he was deactivating his DMN. Not permanently, that's impossible and not the goal, but creating gaps in its dominance. In those gaps, a different mode of consciousness emerged. What the samurai called muga, no self, or more accurately, the larger self that exists beyond ego's story. This isn't mysticism. Brain scans of experienced meditators show decreased DMN activity and increased activation in areas governing attention, awareness, and emotional regulation. The polyvagal theory. Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory explains exactly what the samurai were doing with Heijoshin training. The vagus nerve has two branches. The ventral vagal, newer, uniquely mammalian, and dorsal vagal, older, reptilian. When Takumi panicked, he oscillated between sympathetic activation, fight-flight, and dorsal vagal shutdown, freeze-collapse. This is the panic cycle that destroys people. Tandem breathing activated his ventral vagal nerve. This created what Porges calls social engagement system calm alertness, clear perception, appropriate response. This is Heijoshin at the neurobiological level. The samurai discovered through centuries of practice what science now measures. You cannot think your way out of panic. You must shift your nervous system state. And the fastest way is through body-based practices: breath, posture, presence, window of tolerance. Dr. Dan Siegel's concept of window of tolerance perfectly describes what the samurai called the difference between Heijoshin and Heijoshin. When you're within your window of tolerance, you can think clearly, respond appropriately, integrate information. This is Heijoshin. When you're outside your window, either hyper-aroused, panic, anxiety, or hyper-aroused, shut down, depression, you cannot function optimally. This is Heijoshin. The samurai's 3-month training expanded Takumi's window of tolerance. Not by eliminating stressors, but by teaching his nervous system to remain regulated in the face of them. The warrior psychology. But the Japanese method goes beyond nervous system regulation. It includes a complete psychological framework, acceptance and commitment. What Takumi learned is essentially what modern psychology calls acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, discovered 350 years later. The core insight: suffering comes not from painful circumstances but from experiential avoidance, refusing to feel what you feel, fighting reality, trying to control what can't be controlled. Master Endo's teaching about accepting loss isn't passivity. It's what ACT calls willingness, opening to experience without defense while committing to valued action. Takumi learned to feel panic without being controlled by it. This is psychological flexibility. The opposite of the rigid "this shouldn't be happening" that creates suffering. Cognitive diffusion. When Master Endo taught you are not your mind, he was teaching cognitive diffusion, the ability to observe thoughts without fusing with them. Most people are fused with their thoughts. When the mind says I'm ruined, they believe it absolutely. The thought becomes reality. But thoughts are just thoughts. Mental events, not facts. The samurai understood this. They trained to observe thoughts like clouds passing through sky, present, but not permanent or necessarily true. This isn't positive thinking. It's meta-awareness. The ability to notice I'm having the thought that I'm ruined rather than I am ruined. This subtle shift changes everything. Post-traumatic growth. Modern psychology has discovered that difficult circumstances can lead to post-traumatic growth, increased resilience, deeper meaning, stronger relationships. But this only happens when people process difficulty with presence rather than avoidance. Takumi's financial crisis could have destroyed him. Instead, because Master Endo taught him to face it with Heijoshin, it became the catalyst for profound transformation. This is what the samurai knew. Difficulty isn't the problem. Your relationship to difficulty determines whether it destroys you or forges you into something stronger. Chapter 5. The Advanced Practice. 10 years later, Takumi rebuilt his business. Not to the same level, some things were permanently lost, but to something sustainable, meaningful. More importantly, he'd transformed completely. The panicky merchant who arrived at Master Endo's garden no longer existed. In his place, a man who embodied Heijoshin. He returned to the mountain to thank his teacher. Master Endo, now 80, still tended his garden with perfect presence. Takumi, you've returned. Yes, Master. To thank you. Your teaching saved my life. I taught you nothing. You discovered what was already there. They sat by the same pond where training had begun a decade ago. Master, I have a question. I've practiced Heijoshin for 10 years now. Most days, I maintain presence. But sometimes, panic still arises. Have I failed? Master Endo smiled. This question shows you still don't understand. Listen carefully. This is the advanced teaching. Heijoshin doesn't mean never experiencing panic, fear, or anxiety. It means not being controlled by them. A still pond can have ripples, but it remains fundamentally still. The ripples are on the surface. The depths remain calm. You think Heijoshin is about eliminating difficult emotions. This is beginner's understanding. Advanced understanding knows Heijoshin includes everything. Calm and panic. Joy and fear. Peace and chaos. All arise in the space of awareness that is Heijoshin. The samurai faced death constantly. Do you think they never felt fear? Of course they felt fear. But they didn't let fear move them from their center. They felt it fully and acted appropriately anyway. This is Nayan. Internal flame. The fire that burns but doesn't consume. Strong emotion that doesn't disturb fundamental presence. Takumi absorbed this. So Heijoshin isn't about feeling calm. No, it's about being present with whatever you feel. If calm arises, be present with calm. If panic arises, be present with panic. Both are just weather patterns moving through the sky of awareness. The mistake most people make is thinking, I need to become someone who never feels negative emotions. This is impossible. And it's not Heijoshin. Heijoshin is becoming someone who can feel anything without losing themselves. The final teaching. There's one more level, Master Endo continued. The teaching I give to students who have practiced for 10 years. You've learned to return to Heijoshin when you notice you've left it. This is good. But there's a deeper possibility. Never leaving at all. This isn't about forcing permanent presence. It's about understanding that presence never actually leaves. Only your attention does. Think about the sky. Clouds come and go. Storms pass through. But the sky remains. Always. The sky doesn't need to return to being sky. It is sky. Clouds are just temporary appearances within it. Your true nature is like sky. Heijoshin is like sky. Thoughts, emotions, circumstances are clouds. They come and go. But they don't change what you fundamentally are. Most people identify with the clouds. I am anxious. I am panicked. I am depressed. But you're not the weather. You're the space in which weather appears. When you realize this completely, panic can arise, and you'll notice, panic is here. But you won't say, I am panicked, because you've recognized yourself as the awareness that witnesses panic, not the panic itself. This is Kensho, seeing your true nature, not the small self that's threatened by circumstances. The large self that's never threatened because it's not a thing that can be harmed. The samurai called this fushirio, beyond thinking. Not non-thinking, but the awareness that exists before, during, and after all thinking. When you touch this, Heijoshin isn't something you practice. It's what you are. Your ordinary everyday mind revealed as extraordinary. Completely ordinary. Completely miraculous. Takumi sat in silence. He'd practiced for 10 years. But this teaching opened a dimension he'd barely glimpsed. How do I realize this, Master? You don't. You already are this. You just keep forgetting and remembering. Each time you return to presence, you're not creating Heijoshin. You're recognizing it. And each recognition makes the next recognition easier. Eventually, the gaps between forgetting and remembering become shorter. You forget for a moment, remember immediately. Forget for a second, remember instantly. Until finally, you realize you're always already what you've been seeking. Is this enlightenment? Master Endo laughed. Enlightenment is what beginners seek. Masters just live. Completely present. Completely ordinary. Completely free. The method applied. You're not a 17th century merchant facing bankruptcy. But you face your own siege daily. The method remains the same. When panic arises, you're not panicking about what's happening now. You're panicking about imagination of future or memory of past. The present moment is almost always manageable. Return. Breathe into your tendon. Feel your feet on ground. Come back to body, to now, to here. This isn't suppression. It's relocation, moving awareness from imagination to reality. Remain. Stay present with whatever you feel. If fear is here, okay. Feel it fully. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just be with it. Like that still pond receiving ripples. Respond. From presence, appropriate action becomes obvious. Not forced. Not figured out. It arises naturally when you're not clouded by panic. This is Heijoshin, the forbidden method. Forbidden only because it contradicts everything you've been taught about control, achievement, success. You've been taught to panic is normal. The Japanese warriors knew better. You've been taught to fight your feelings. The samurai knew to be with them. You've been taught to control circumstances. The masters knew to respond to them. The siege will continue. Life will keep presenting difficulty. But you can face it like Musashi in that courtyard, unshakable. Not because you've eliminated panic, because you've realized what you are beneath panic. Ordinary everyday mind. Heijoshin, your true nature, always already here. The method is simple, not easy, but simple. And it works. It worked for samurai facing death. It worked for a merchant facing ruin. It will work for you, if you practice. This is the warrior's way. Not fighting better. Being present better. The ultimate victory isn't defeating enemies. It's never being moved from your center. This is Heijoshin. This is freedom. This is your birthright. Practice it. Live it. Become it. The siege continues. But you, warrior, remain still water.